Alright, g'day everyone, welcome back to ICBM Escalation. It's 2001 and apparently there are 8 semi-trailers filled with nuclear bombs spread around the United States that we really need to find. Off screen, what I've done to lead into this mission is a little bit of logistics. Just about every US city has been assigned a handholder of some kind, be that special forces, army divisions, special forces helicopters that can also spot hidden units. So even while we're getting our security checkpoints started up, we should get a lot of coverage off the bat. My plan then is to build security checkpoints that allows me to release those units back for other purposes. Over in the UK, there's a bunch of SFs that we're loading onto helicopters that will be deployed. Similarly, we'll also insert special forces by submarine just to get visibility up. And I'm also sending a special forces team down to the Kennedy Space Center for the first of our spaceborne insertions. And we probably, in fact, I reckon I'm happy, we'll send 2. I'm deploying more. We can delay the invasions because, as you can see, we're just getting a bunch of activity. I'm also loading some divisions in, which we will deploy to cities that don't have full coverage straight away, which I think is over here. Is there anywhere else that doesn't have coverage or not enough coverage? I think we're otherwise okay. Yeah, I think we're otherwise okay in terms of coverage. So we'll get that one deployed to the UK because the UK is going to be our logistical link. From the UK, we can concentrate divisions in Turkey and go from there. Iraq is probably objective number 1 just because the GDP is higher and otherwise they'll build up a bunch of units. But in terms of getting visibility, I think I consider both Afghanistan and Iraq important. I think it's worth trying to get eyes on Afghanistan first because I imagine some of these cells will be there. And we're about to waste the first pass of the Nemesis because we don't have recon on target. But it is what it is. I think we'll have multiple passes in the next 45 minutes. Okay, we do have temporary reconnaissance data. You need precision reconnaissance in order to fire the laser cannon. So while we have that, we might be able to make some use of this pass over Iraq. So let's do a test fire. We'll fire on this coastal missile battery and then switch to this air base as we come over. Great. Of course there's a war started. Anyway, I thought I was already at war with them. And we got the airbase. Great, fantastic. So one pass, we managed to fry a missile battery and an airbase. We just melted an airbase with a nuclear-powered orbital cannon. I reckon that's going to be good for morale back home. All right, I think we're spotting bomb trucks. Mr. Division, if you would kindly destroy that. Attack helicopter, if you would kindly destroy that. Is there anywhere that's not covered? I have 2 emergency security checkpoints. One going for Seattle. Go for that. That's 3, I was told 8. Bomb truck coming into San Diego, destroy that. 4. That's number 5. I'll deploy that SF team down to the Space Center. That's number 6. Six is less than 8. I've got real I'm in danger feelings, but I also can't see any gaps that they can sneak into. I think we have full coverage, so we should see it if it's out there. So my only... Okay, I've just realized even though I thought I only counted 7, it's showing find, destroy all bomb trucks green. So I think we're now good. I think that's enough coverage. So what we're going to do is we're going to build one more. We're going to build the Themis. So that'll be 2 minutes thereabouts, and we get some visibility going. The number one thing I think I want is we want to get special forces. I'm going to land one here. We want to get 2 things in the immediate future: spotting on Iraq, and also SF probably up here working their way toward Kabul. And I think given where the high value targets are likely to be, let's do the Kabul drop first. So what we're going to do is within like a very short period of time of all this happening, we're going to get special forces inserted up here. And we're going to use that to drop a bunch of orbital laser fire. I'm not sure how the Australians got permission to go through this area here, but it's as far as the air transports could go. The way it's going to go is because of logistics. The Australians are probably going to be the ones who handle Afghanistan, because there's 3 cities to occupy if we can clear the country from orbit. And then the Brits and the Americans are going to have to handle Iraq. So they're going to start concentrating in Turkey. Absolutely no rush to get out there. As you can see, there are fighters and whatnot. But all we really want is visibility. Because if we can get visibility without starting a fight with any of these security checkpoints, the lasers should be able to handle the rest. Okay, we've orbital dropped our first Special Forces team in northern Afghanistan, one coming up from the south. We already have eyes on a potential Al-Qaeda cell, if we can reacquire it without getting too close to these security checkpoints. We'll be able to remove the red security checkpoints. I'm loading up troops back home, but oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. I also have bombers launching long-range cruise missile attacks on Iraqi air bases just to help the satellites out. But where is our orbital weapons platform? Okay. Because we're not going to be able to get over here because there's a security checkpoint. But if I can keep eyes on, didn't think they'd actually label OBL, but here it is. Yeah, Cheyenne can wait just a minute. Let's just keep that acquisition. Just wait for Nemesis's path to come over. See, normally I duck in with the Special Forces, but I don't think I have to, and I don't have to go one-on-one with that security checkpoint. Here it comes. And you were acquiring something out this way, weren't you? I also landed SFs in Saudi Arabia. We're going to use that to go for Yemen and the West Coast. And then we'll probably use an orbital drop to get down here. And then probably orbital drops to get into southwest Iraq to get visibility over all this for orbital target spotting. And then drop another one over here. The airstrikes will eliminate the air bases, but most of this is going to be satellite work. Especially once the second one, Themis, launches. And bang. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. We just killed the head of Al-Qaeda and some of his top lieutenants. Serves him right. Let's just hope he gets replaced by someone dumber or nobody at all. So yeah, that's totally how this ends in every timeline. About a day or two, a couple of days after the events of 9/11, a Special Forces team that was orbital dropped into Afghanistan gets an eye on him before he's able to move, and he's zapped with an orbital laser cannon. Well, I imagine the deterrence value would probably be significant. Let's destroy that security checkpoint while we're making a pass. And that one. That way we can push that Special Forces team. We've got eyes on that too. Great, pause that. He can move into Afghanistan. And then here, let's pick off some of these missile batteries. I can use a war plan to do this. ICBM tail. Oh, Al-Qaeda cell. Target eliminated. Great. That was the Syrian one that had come over to Iraq. But yeah, Nemesis gives 0 shits. You give it targeting data, it gives you results. Okay, so we've got our second satellite ready, and I think my solution for this one, because we don't quite have coverage of the peninsula, is if we're willing to give up some coverage of Afghanistan, which I think is reasonable. I think we have enough firepower focused on Afghan. We could go with a polar orbit, or This might be what I actually do. This is also an interface orbit nuclear cannon. Thermis. Very good. Is what we'll do is we'll use a cruise missile strike on this Al-Qaeda cell. Keep our special forces teams nice and standoff, because I am deeply suspicious of the AI. Missiles away. Good track. Miss. It looked like a good track. Let's try AGMs. No one write up the taxpayer report on that one. GAO is probably not thrilled. AGM's away. Oh, see? AI did it. I didn't expect that, but that's something. That would have been nasty. So clearly they're sitting on a bunch of security checkpoints in bases, and the moment they lose someone, they're like, you must have SFs there. I do, they're just far enough away. And more security checkpoints here. Okay, so we've deployed both our satellites, and so far, our Spec Ops teams are okay. Okay, we're calling this Operation Judgment with the Omega indicator. Hostile territories only. The only weapon is the counterforce laser, continuous, not synchronized or timed. Primary target is priority targets and security checkpoints. Secondary is air bases, because I hate air bases, or other people's anyway. And third is basically any missile, SAM, any kind of squishy asset that we can potentially eliminate. And we won't include armies or army bases just yet, but we will include forward operating bases as a priority 3 because they're much squishier. And then once we've cleaned the board a little bit,
executing strike plan.
Once we've cleaned the board a little bit, we'll be in a better position to say, hey, no, now you can fire on armies and army bases because they'll be considerably tankier. But I'm hoping this stuff can start to get cleaned up. Kennedy Space Center has its SF loaded. Prepare for drop. Here is good. Get those eyes on southern Iraq. And we'll bring the Spec Ops teams down a little bit south. Spot all these facilities and infrastructure here. And then wait for the next satellite pass while the transports are flying. Which one's next over, Nemesis or Themis? Nemesis. I don't have eyes on whatever the target is in Pakistan yet, but eliminating these security checkpoints should give us a little bit more maneuverability. Bring this Spec Ops team. Don't cross into Iraq, but let's just come up. Launch your drones so you can just see a little bit further. Beautiful. That's a nice array of targets. He won't be able, so the it won't be able to target things we don't have. It won't be able to target sensor ghosts. I've told the devs about this, and it is in fact fixed in the next patch. It's the satellite's trying to target things it can't target, and it just causes it to lag a little bit before it fires at something it can. It's usually pretty good, but sometimes it gets confused. So for example, there it's trying to target something it can't. That's okay. Good sweep of destruction. All right, I'm happy. Hypersonic missiles 6 minutes away, carrier group coming in, more special forces. Good concentration of troops in the UK. Not that we'll need too many. Here comes the sun. Oh, it's Themis orbits in the other direction. Interesting. Not quite able to eliminate the fob in one pass, that's okay. Okay, I didn't even notice. Apparently I spotted the target in Pakistan and the Nemesis was passing overhead, and it decided priority target doesn't need to be in there anymore. So these special forces are just having a great time. Basically what they're doing is they're sending out drones and robots. The drones that might be carried and supported by the ground robots. The drones see something and the SFs just call for fire from their bloody nuclear-powered orbital death laser, and then the target disappears. As far as fire support assets on tap go, this might be horribly expensive and useless against a peer adversary that can shoot it down with an ASAT. But yeah, the man responsible for recruiting, training, and coordinating the teams involved is confirmed KIA. Good work. With that, we've taken out all the major overseas Al-Qaeda cells. We could get a link to we could link to the attack. Great work. All right, I've set up these airstrikes to help augment the satellites. That should add a little extra firepower. We're coming in over Turkey and whatnot. GBUs, clear all that out. We'll get the armies into position now. Bring more divisions in, but I think this is going to be way overkill. We shouldn't actually have any ground combat. And there's 7 divisions up in Central Asia. They shouldn't have intelligence on our guys, so that short-range ballistic missile launcher shouldn't be a problem. Actually, no, that's a SAM. So even with the 6th generation fighter, I'm not super comfortable. We'll let the lasers deal with Afghanistan a little longer. They've been softening it up for the most part. Multi-role attackers. The thing is, this is not meant to be difficult. This is meant to feel fine. We're dramatically overkilling it. I imagine the complicating factor is not meant to be perestroika in this mission. It's meant to be what comes next. I've been warned about this. The campaign is meant to convince you that you're good at the game, lull you into a false sense of security. You're the superpower. Soviet Union has fallen. What could possibly go wrong? Well, I think soon enough we'll discover what can possibly go wrong. But first, we get to enjoy our little victory lap of sorts as we pound Iraqi divisions with 6th generation fighters in 2001. Satellites coming over for another pass of Afghanistan. Let's wipe out the SAM site. And then these ballistic missile launchers, which I imagine if they had, especially if they had some sort of spicy payload, might have caused some casualties. So we'll eliminate those, even if the divisions are a little harder. I'm finding the laser is very effective against soft targets. It's underwhelming against dug-in divisions, and it probably should be. They're very dispersed. They represent a lot of manpower and equipment.
Research complete.
That's some research complete. What are we going to go next? Do we want advanced hybrid guidance air-to-air missiles? I don't think we're going to need them this mission or next mission. So they're not a priority for me. Most of this isn't a priority. We could start getting the Navy up to scratch. I'm not sure how important that is. Terminal defense lasers might be useful. They'll give me mobile laser defense complexes. Sounds interesting. Let's pick up the laser defense satellites as our next step, because we will need them, and then I'll consider giving some points to the Navy. Let's wait for the bombers to arrive, and as soon as the bombers remove this division, we'll send our divisions in. You go for Mosul, Baghdad, Nasiriyah, and that should be Iraq relatively soon. Strategic bomber, could you at least... It'd be nice if you routed around Syrian airspace, but I know they don't seem to care, and they wouldn't know either, because it is in fact a stealth bomber. Okay, I think order is slowly being restored. We won't go all the way south because we want the 6th gens to clear the way first. You'd think they'd give up by now, but apparently not. And more multi-rolls, thank you. And the Ark Royals also arrived, so I guess we can route those 6 gens over Syria as well. Okay, that should be all she wrote. Should be all the things we want disabled. Double up, so every city has at least 2 divisions. And then we'll build a little security perimeter so they don't spawn anything where we don't want them to. 8 minutes to occupation of Baghdad. That's great. We still have plenty of time to spare. We've spent 15. We have about 30 to play. So I'll let that run. And then turn our attention over here. Because yeah, as you can see, the lasers just do tickle damage to entrenched divisions, which I'm happy with. We have one set of strategic bombers that can reach. So let's do that. Let's start working on those divisions with stealth bombers as we continue concentrating in Central Asia. It's going to be way overkill, but you know, what else is new in this playthrough? I think we come up against China in the 2020s. But this is admittedly an interesting change of pace. All right, well, Baghdad is occupying. Let's occupy some of Afghanistan. We don't want to accidentally end the mission. After all, Congress is up the funding. So what we'll do is we'll grab the two northern cities. Oh, that's cheeky of you. Pull that Special Forces team back. Six gens should be arriving. There we go. Flinging the AGMs. We saw a tiny bit of ground combat there. How do people still... I really wish there was a button up here, which is just like, turn off all this stuff. Now, I don't think I hit a civilian, but I fired a gas round here because all these divisions that I thought had all this stuff disabled apparently did not universally get the memo. So if there was a button I could press to just disable it all or re-enable it all, like WMD settings in the top right near your stockpile of nukes, I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that tremendously. Okay, Iraq is about to capture. There we go. We've secured Iraq and are ready to dismantle the regime. Searched over the country, but there's no sign of any WMDs. What a waste of time. The CIA just gave us intel that the weapons and the nuclear material were actually stolen from the USSR during... What did I say at the start of this mission? Maybe the nukes came from the place with all the nukes. The CIA just gave us intel the weapons and nuclear material were actually stolen from the USSR during the dissolution, and they've linked the suppliers to a smuggling ring in Tajikistan. I bet they knew more than they were letting on. Either way, we need those smugglers taken out so we can investigate this further. Let's get some operators over to Tajikistan. We can do that. We can do that with a really, really quick response time by loading some Helldivers or ODSTs into a space shuttle and then just launching them. What do you reckon? Around here will probably do. Let's go there. SF's on the way. That's our target. Spotted by the SFs. Where is our nearest? It'll be the Nemesis. Actually, no, Nemesis is going the wrong way. Where's Themis? There we go. That'll be engagement soon. Priority target. Slow the speed down. Priority target does not appear to be moving. Presumably there is a drone watching. And zap. We've killed and captured. Captured! With an orbital laser gun. I'd love to hear how that happened. I assume this is meant for you to use Special Forces teams, but zap. We've killed and captured over 20 people involved in the nuclear deliveries. The FBI is going to take over from here, but we've done our part. I can't even imagine how many lives we've saved. Well, there you go. All right, that looks like all secondaries done for the moment. Now, this says complete within 45. So I think we need to finish before this goes down to 15. So I'm going to roll the clock, get some research done. Actually, I'll pick my research, tell you what it's going to be, then I'll roll the clock. Okay, so we're going to split the difference. Experimental submarines, advanced underwater weapons. So not going all the way to experimental under weapons, but at least getting our ADCAPs eventually. But I don't expect us to have any submarines in the next mission. But anyway, upgrading those, and then precision ASAT and space-to-space weapons. These technologies, you need both of them in order to get this tech, which I really wanted, which allows my laser satellites not just to intercept missiles and do a missile defense job, but also to engage other satellites. So, and other ASATs, I believe. So let's do that. I'm still not getting advanced hybrid guide and air-to-air missiles, but I don't expect that to be a problem in the immediate future. Let's run the time, get the research budget. As you can see, these are all clearly counterinsurgency focused techs. Don't read the budget too closely. What you really need to fight this sort of insurgency threat is Sea Wolves. Sea Wolves and Virginias with payload modules is what you desperately need to fight a counterinsurgency operation. Anyway, let's roll the clock, get our budget, and then see where we go. Okay, we have 11 seconds to play. We should finish space-to-space weapons just as this pops. Great.
Complete.
Research complete. We've seized control of Afghanistan from the Taliban. That's a major blow to Al-Qaeda. It's been a war zone for 20 years. Maybe now it can finally have some peace. We'll see. There's no more leads from the CIA or FBI. That's every target eliminated or captured, and in record time. There's no way to fix what happened, but at least we stopped them in the end. Outstanding work, Commander. Yeah. Based on the naming convention for the next mission, I don't think that this is going to turn out well. But at least the initial phase, the conventional military operation to go in and take over the territory, worked. Total civilian casualties, 267,000. And I don't know whether that's from the accidental... No, I'm thinking about this. I'm not sure what that is. It could be targeting units near cities, which I don't have a way around that. It could be, there could be a lot more splash involved in GBUs than I think, which they shouldn't. At this point, we're using Spear. We're using something even more advanced than small diameter bomb, like about as precise and low damage as you can get, low collateral damage as you can get for a bomb. We used orbital lasers. I'm not sure. But there might be a way to get that lower, but in order to get that lower, I need to understand what's doing it in the first place. 4,080 points, and the tech tree is filling out. The next mission is called Spring Cleaning, so it's the post-Arab Spring period. We are in a good position tech-wise. 4,080 points. We're definitely going to grab both our counter-force satellites back, but that's all the units we're going to buy. I don't know if we start with the space shuttle, we can always build it during the mission. So 3,500 points to spend on tech. That's an idea. That's an idea. I don't think it's urgently important, but it is a big piece of tech to get out of the way. And you never know if the mission's going to be long enough to allow you to do it. Sorry, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, but So this here is an interesting one. This is pure fusion weapons. So if you look at our current thermonuclear weapons, you have a fission device, a standard fission bomb that's used to generate the energy and initiate the fusion stage beyond that and give you that thermonuclear yield. What you get if you eliminate the fission stage is you still have an initial burst of radiation. You still have a massive explosion, hypothetically. What you don't have, potentially, depending on how it's designed, is the long-lived radioactive byproducts. You don't have the fallout. So, for lack of a better term, at least in the conception that the game has of them, these are clean nuclear weapons. They are not really just really, really big explosives, but they're closer. They're very, very close to it. And one thing we might want to consider, this is a no nukes run, but does it count if we go pure fusion? One combination I'm considering is going pure fusion, noting that there is a nuclear war mission, which we want to survive. Go experimental mid-course ABM. So this is where you're launching missiles up into and hitting them in space during their mid-course, preferably before the MIRV's debus. If you take those ABMs and you equip them with fusion warheads, so you're not generating a whole bunch of fallout, Similarly, I think terminals, I'm not sure if terminals can use fusion interceptors, but we can also use lasers. But I'm wondering if one option to stop MERV spam would be a whole bunch of fusion mid-course interceptors. I don't think that's urgent. I don't think this tech is urgent. We don't need to rush it. But it would be interesting to get. It would open up a whole bunch of options. Yeah, and we do have a bunch of points for tech. I mean, I can grab experimental sonar. I don't think we need quantum radar, anti-stealth technology just yet. We've mostly filled this out. Stuff it, let's do it. Let's just book it now. Pure fusion weapons, so it's in, because I don't know how many points I'll be given in the future. Let's grab that. Let's grab air-launched ballistic missiles, because we're well behind there, so strategic bombers have an ALBM option if they need it. I don't think we need HGVs, hypersonic glide vehicles, because we don't use them. We'll grab experimental underwaters. And we have enough points left to grab. Let's get hypersonic hybrid guidance surface-to-air missiles. So advanced SAMs is damage, speed, range, and accuracy of surface-to-air missiles. This is damage, accuracy, range of SAMs, greatly increasing their flight speed. The other option is to go terminal defense lasers. I'm not sure we're there yet. What we could do, if I cut the underwater warfare stuff, I can go terminal defense lasers. Yeah, let's do that. So we've advanced terminal ABM, hypersonic guidance, advanced SAM. So we've basically, why do I need, oh, I need that for the lasers. That makes sense. So pure fusion weapons, ALBMs, advanced SAMs, terminal defense lasers, and 2 counterforce laser satellites. And at the end of that, can we afford anything else? We might be able to afford 1 plane. We can afford 1 6th generation multi-role attacker. Let's have a look at what is waiting for us. Because I'm sure the Middle East is doing great after our invasions. In 2011, the Arab Spring made waves across the Middle East and North Africa, with the people demanding democratic reforms and an end to the old despotic regimes. Foreign interference and agitators have exacerbated the crisis, and civil war has broken out first in Syria and then across the Arab world. In the ensuing chaos, radical Islamist groups have seized massive swaths of land and committed countless atrocities, leading to an ongoing international intervention. Daesh has been emboldened by an unidentified benefactor wishing to destabilize the region and now controls a massive quasi-state that threatens the Middle East. Meanwhile, Iran, neighbouring a historically hostile Iraq, which is now being rapidly overtaken by Daesh, has been revitalising its WMD program in anticipation of deterring an imminent invasion. Now it's up to the United States and coalition forces to contain Daesh, while also stifling Iran's nuclear ambitions in a complicated 3-front war. Wonderful. Find and destroy covert Daesh leadership cells, so that'll be special forces deployed again. Prevent them from controlling more than 7 territories. Locate and destroy Iran's WMD research sites, ideally before they can build nuclear weapons. Do not have over 3 million oh geez, this does not fill me with confidence. 45 minutes, so secondary is less than 1.5 million civilian casualties. Avoid destabilizing the region using nuclear weapons. Recapture all Daesh-controlled territory, forcing them to surrender. Fully capture Iran. Because if invading Iraq didn't go well, invading Iran will just, that's how you make it better. You double down. Now, before we forget anything else, let's deploy both our counterforce laser satellites on trajectories like that. Let's get them operational again. That's one, I'll find the other. Great, let's put a research in. Actually, before I do a research, let's just check whether we have a shuttle. We do not have a shuttle, so we are going to 100% that. Okay, I've done a quick inventory, actually. Sorry to cut that off. I was like, I'm going to build a space shuttle, which I will, but there are no special forces in the US in this one, which is interesting. What I do have is an absolute crap ton of air bases. Because what do I got? 6 air bases, 7 tactical air bases, 7 tactical air bases in Europe, and then 4 strategic air bases back in the United States, and then 2 specialist air bases. So what we're going to do is we'll group specialist air bases is group 3, strategic air bases is group 2, tactical air bases is group 1. We're probably going to war plan this. But what we're going to do first is we're just going to let the satellites and the EW aircraft clear out all the SAM sites. Then we're going to war plan and unleash the 6th generations to just bomb all this stuff. In terms of ground units, looks like we've got a couple, but we're going to need to move them to defend these air bases as quickly as possible. So we'll do that. I think we have in total what? For the whole mission, 6 divisions. We had 20-something the previous one, so you can really feel the budget cuts. Or just that this is less of a political priority and we're getting allocated fewer forces. Okay, so we're going to have 6 divisions. Well, we don't want to throw them like straight into the thick of it. We'll deploy off the Toledo that special forces team. The Reagan is on its way. We're going to have 2 carriers, so we're going to have so much air power. Yeah, no, we have a sickening amount of air power, so that's going to be the solution. And then we'll let the satellites go over. They are going over Iraq. There we are. Yeah, maybe we should have done a better job of rebuilding Iraq. At least the Middle East finally agrees on something. We need to kill Daesh. Can't even agree on a name. Regardless, we need to hunt down their leadership and keep them contained. We also have reason to believe Iran is starting a nuclear weapons program for real this time. We need to destroy their facilities before they can do anything drastic. On that note, keep an eye on Israel. They won't admit they have nukes, but if things get too hot, they might overreact. Good luck. Oh, look at all these nuclear sites. How squishy are the nuclear sites? Let's disable that war plan for a moment because I want to find out how squishy the... Oh, they're super squishy. Who is automatically engaging? Turn off auto engage. We don't want that. And then what I want is... Oh, interesting. So Adar Incirlik is a strategic airbase. I guess that makes a degree of sense. But that's not what we need right now. What we need is EW aircraft. To clear all of these. So many AA guns and SAM sites. Breeze Air Force Base. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on over here. So we've destroyed some nuclear sites with the laser. I think what we'll do is we'll re-enable... If there's only 4, might be able to get them with the next pass. Are there any SAM sites? There is. SAM site. All right. Decent start. Bunch of HARM missiles going out. Let's just clear out as much of this as possible. I don't want to start a massive air campaign just yet. Let's get the strategic bombers. Let's put them on ALCMs, hypersonics. And then let's divvy up the task, shall we? You guys get that airbase. You guys get that airbase. Then once those two are done, we'll smash those 2. And then that one. So yeah, Iran, there's a lot of work to do on Iran, but I'm hoping the space lasers help. In the meantime, let's get what we need in place just to make sure that ISIS doesn't go into Turkey and overrun these air bases. That would be the main failure condition. You guys need to go home. Come on, guys. Okay, first step, stop Lebanon being overrun. Probably can't stop them sieging Beirut, but can stop them taking it. That's production done. We'll go 100% research and then see what we can get done within the 45 minutes that we're allowed. That's a lot of research. We'll be good. Okay. Space shuttle. ODST/Helldivers. Let's insert, find their leadership cells. Daesh, right? So let's deploy into Iraq and let's bring this Special Forces team up. Between the two of them, they should be able to do the job. And let's just keep queuing these airstrikes. Smacking SAMs wherever we see them. Just wait for the strategic bombers to come along and take out those air bases. Okay, there are 6. Again, I want one button. I want one button to turn off all of the accidental casualties. Okay, fighters are going out. As you can see, my 6th gens now have lasers, which are having a great time against the... Okay. We've got urgent news. I don't know how, but Daesh somehow managed to restart Iraq's chemical weapon program. They now have access to weaponized sarin. Be on alert and make sure they can't use it in range of any cities. Oh, great. Okay. Well, we've got Damascus protected. I guess we just queue up the elimination of those divisions there. I'm not sure what we... It's a bit late for Mosul, man. Like, Mosul's already occupied. But we can move these divisions down and try and... We can free Syria. We can free Aleppo and Damascus. And then these 3 divisions will be responsible for Iraq. Iran is a different story, but for the moment we're just winning these air skirmishes. Just keep fighters in the air, basically. And then watch out for SAMs. Where are the bloody strategic bombers? There they go. Just takes a long time for the B-21s to fly in from the United States. So a lot of our guys, a lot of the Air Force pilots are going to become aces, but we're also going to lose some jets in the process just through numbers. All right, those divisions are clear. I'm going to dive, so to speak, and take those 2 airports. But in the process, we're going to smack the SAM site, and the SAM site. And I believe those manual launchers should get priority. Because as soon as we've killed or captured most of the key commanders of Daesh, they'll have a hard time coming back from that. Well done. Oh, I see what happened. Orbital team dropped into the middle of Iraq, instantly spotted a whole bunch of these cells and spec ops teams, which are priority 1 for the order system. And yeah, the laser did laser things. Okay, air bases are starting to go down. Get those EW aircraft over there. HARM missiles away, or ARGMER now. Great. That should be most of the SAM coverage over Iran now gone. They had so many SAMs. Okay, that should be a go. Dig in around Aleppo for you. You 2 go for Damascus. Mosul's going to be next on the list. Okay, divisions are starting to be cleared. Grab that base. Oh, I did not notice this. Let's clear those divisions around Kuwait. Bang, Kuwait is saved by the power of air power. Troops marching through Iraq, so we should have Syria and Iraq free pretty soon. There's the question of Iran. Their last airbase should be about to be smacked pretty soon. Oh wait, no, there's two more. Oh, the Reagan's arriving. Okay, well in that case, let's smack that airbase. Looks like the submarine has detected... Well, that's quaint, isn't it? Okay, so we've detected an Iranian submarine. Naval helicopters go. And just to be careful, we won't take the Reagan all the way in. And we'll maneuver the Toledo. See, maybe we did need experimental sonar and weapons. As it is, though, it's still going to be like a Seawolf Plus with ATCAP. So I have a feeling whatever this is, technologically, probably not an issue, but still, again, not keen to sail a carrier up here when we can launch strikes from out here. So Iran has apparently decided to counter-invade. There is now a war between Daesh and Iran. I am defending Baghdad. I have a feeling that unfortunately some of the gas might be hitting Baghdad, so we might actually move that division a little bit away just to limit the collateral damage. I'm not sure what Iran expects to achieve with the counter-invasion strategy. It's not going well, let's put it that way. But it is what it is. Army division. Eliminate that garrison. But we are almost under control. Okay, Iraq is occupied again. Well done, Commander. There's always going to be a few radicals running around like cockroaches, but we've crushed their ability to pose a serious threat to any genuine governments. Instead of unpicking that statement, let's advance the 3 divisions we've now freed up into Iran's second province, because it'll still be another 2 minutes before we can occupy Tehran. Then we'll roll forward, and then we'll occupy probably 3 of the 4 cities in the final province, move into the last one when it's time to get the, when the budget has flowed through the system and we've done all the research and development we need to do. Because after this mission, it's Dragon Slayer. So after Perestroika, which was a civil war, and then playing around with counterinsurgency and regional conflict, the Soviet Union may be gone, but a new peer competitor emerges. So the Pacific Theater, large-scale combat operations next episode. I want to make sure the tech is in the best possible shape. Most of Iran is now occupied, and we'll get GDP from it shortly. GDP from Iraq in 4 and a bit minutes, GDP from Iran in 7, so we should actually get a nice little economic boost. I'm not sure it's smart to have the people in Iran working on our experimental mid-course anti-ballistic missile research programs, but I don't know, maybe they're doing something else and freeing up more American resources to do that. Let's go with that rather than the security nightmare of outsourcing our missile defense programs to the Middle East. So out of respect for the People's Liberation Army Air Force and the People's Liberation Army Navy, let's grab those for sure. 21 minutes of research should be just enough to squeeze that out. And then we're getting pretty close to done. I don't need my boomers to be upgraded urgently because I'm not using boomers and I'm not using nuclear ballistic missiles. We have our pure fusion weapons. I think the next scenario might be the last one where we do serious research. And from that point on, as was the plan, as we get into more challenging opponents who catch up with us in terms of tech, looking at you, Beijing, we're able to use more of those pre-mission points buying units as opposed to getting research done. Okay, 8 seconds to capture, 8 seconds to research. We've defeated the Iranians, are in a position to force a regime change. Democracy is back on the agenda. Incredible work. Well, we dropped some democracy from orbit, so that was obviously inevitable. Primary and secondary is completed, research done. Let us see how many points we get going into the next mission, which is Dragon Slayer. Somehow I think it'll be a little bit of a change of pace. Killed 227,000. We're going to ignore the fact that the Daesh number is lower than mine. We're going to focus on the fact that the Iran plus Daesh number, also regime change for the entire region, again. I think, yeah, I wonder if I just have too much firepower for this to work. All right, what do we need? Dragon Slayer. I'm seriously tempted to buy units. I think that we've done a whole bunch of research. How many missions are left? I think it's 2. I think it's 2 and then the finale. 2,400. I think we split the... And okay, I was looking at this point screen for a long time because we're about to go into a large-scale combat operation scenario against a peer opponent after a couple of episodes of flexing on low-tech ones. So I wanted to think about this a bit and then take you through the final results rather than umming and ahhing. So here's what I've come up with. My main thought is that this kind of fighting, where you're going to have a large fleet equipped with supersonic and hypersonic missiles against another large fleet with supersonic and hypersonic weapons, lots of ballistic missiles, lots of air assets, is that it's going to be decided, practically speaking, very quickly. So for once, there's actually probably a strong argument in favor of us doing more units up front than research. We're still getting a decent amount of research, but for once I'm buying a reasonable number of units instead. And I might even, as we're talking through, decide to trim some of this as well. Like I might try and maybe delay advanced tells just a little bit longer and get some more units, we'll see. So what we need to do is win the initial fleet fight. We need to be able to push back and destroy a lot of their fleet elements as rapidly as possible. And we need to establish space domain superiority as well. There's a couple of ways we can potentially do that, so let's walk through. For the Navy fight, we need 2 things. 1, the ability to sink their ships quickly. 3 extra attack submarines that we can then spawn forward until they patch it. Respond to wherever the Chinese fleet is, sink it fast. 3 extra destroyers, 2 extra cruisers. They're going to need to split their attention between different theaters, but the idea is you want to have lots of ships grouped together so the laser seaweeds can defend each other. If we're going to have hypersonics coming towards us, well, at least supersonics, and large numbers of them and lots of aircraft, we want to create that really tight bubble of ships. Mid-course ABM site, just in case. 3 laser defense complexes, because they can shoot down hypersonic missiles, they can provide anti-aircraft and point defense. It says extremely effective against all targets. I think it can shoot down aircraft as well. We've also got 2 laser defense satellites. They exist for 2 reasons. 3 reasons. 1, they can suck up ASATs. If the Chinese fire 1 or 2 ASATs and don't overwhelm them, they'll be able to shoot those down with their laser. 2, if they encounter Chinese satellites, they'll shoot those down. And 3, just in case, they'll maybe shoot down some missiles as well. So 2 laser defense satellites, no counter value satellite until we know the space is clear. And then finally 5 multi-role attackers. Technology, advanced SSBNs because we need to get there eventually, advanced ASAT weapons, improved transporter erector launcher systems. We could go advanced TEL, but I'm just curious as to, and Space Shuttle Special Forces team to insert into China straight at the start and sabotage the shit out of whatever we can get our hands on. I'm especially interested in blowing up their space center. If we can blow up their space relay, their space radars, their space control centers, that gives us domain dominance. And I want to control the high ground. We're at the stage of the game now where that's space. I would have really liked an extra carrier, just because 30 multi-role attackers is just such an asset. I don't think we can do it. We can grab the technology, or I can grab an extra airbase. Man, the airbases are just so expensive. Another option would be some ballistic missile sites, because that would let us fling some conventional missiles straight away at whatever our spy satellites identify. Okay, what I did was I've gone greedy. I've dropped the mid-course interception site. We're going to rely on our satellites, our cruisers, our terminal defenses. I'm going to grab 4 ballistic missile sites. We're going to stick them in Japan, and we're going to use those to hit high-value targets that our special forces and others find in China, until we get to the point where we can put a counter-force satellite up. But we're not going to be able to do that until we know that we've got proper space dominance. I'm happy with that. Let's roll the tape. All right, here we go, Dragon Slayer. Tensions have been rising in the old world. Russia's new ambitions have led to war and insecurity in the West, with NATO and the US restlessly as proxies fight to repel the Russian threat. Meanwhile, I wonder who that could be. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, tensions are stewing again with another war in the Levant and a surge of instability, especially with the power vacuum left by Iran. While the US and its European allies had their hands full, China was devising a plan to settle their territorial disputes once and for all. North Korean troop? Why is there a North Korea? North Korean troops backed up with Chinese support and equipment have rushed over the DMZ in a bid to capture the South again. And look, it's the map where it all started. While China themselves are pushing an amphibious assault force to Taiwan and the South China Sea. Japan, Australia, and much of ASEAN are scrambling to respond, but they won't be able to fend off the massive Chinese army without American support. The US will have to act quickly to decisively repel the Chinese and North Korean assaults before Beijing and Pyongyang become invested enough to escalate further. Okay, so our primary missions seem to be protect the island of Taiwan, don't let North Korea take South Korea, don't let China take any territory, destroy their surface fleet, intercept ballistic missiles, ensure that less than 10 million friendly civilians die, complete the mission in 45 minutes, which is a lot of research time, force the DPRK to surrender by completely occupying it or destroy 80% of its population. We'll occupy it, sink over 50 Chinese naval assets, cool, keep civilian casualties below 3.5 million, I hope so, don't allow nuclear weapons to damage friendly cities. And wow, okay. We have multiple Chinese naval groups. There's the Liaoning, there's the Shandong. They shouldn't have Fujian in 2021, which is, I think, the year. Anyway, that is a... Man, this is very familiar. Okay. We'll check if China has anything that we need. I don't think they will. They might in terms of like nuclear weapon tech or something. Looks like we have 3 tactical air bases and a strategic air base in Asia. 6 air bases and 2 specialist air bases at home. We've got some naval groups. So do they. Okay. George H.W. Bush. Okay, I'll do some thinking. Let's run it for just 1 second. Why North Korea is even allowed to exist after the thrashing we gave them is beyond. Me too. It must be because it must be so they didn't have to write 2 different later versions of the campaign. Just in case you didn't take North Korea. If the Soviets didn't throw a tantrum at the UN, we could have avoided this whole mess. Well, this time we won't be so nice. North Korea is preparing to launch ballistic missiles at South Korea and Japan. We have a limited ABM contingent deployed, but it won't be enough if they ramp up their attacks. Naval groups in Guam and the Pacific are on standby to support. Don't forget Taiwan. We need to crush this campaign before it starts. And that is a lot of incoming. Hope you're enjoying and are ready for what I'm sure will be an absolute slugging match next episode.